Another problem is the deep state. If President Trump wins, I have no doubt he will attempt to clean out the deep state, fire the FBI director and everything else. But if Biden is president, there are a lot of executive powers that can be taken that he will likely take that will cover up, hide, obscure, and stop the look into the deep state. He will do his best to cover up the laptop. He'll do his best to cover up the malfeasance of spying on the Trump administration. So we've got to be prepared for that. Another thing we have to be prepared for is the war on free speech. When Twitter and Facebook think that they can stop legitimate public discourse, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we've got to make Twitter and Facebook pay. Here's the concern. What they're going to do if Biden is elected, they will go and say and be threatened with breaking them up. And the threats coming from the left of breaking them up are not going to end their power. In fact, it will enhance the left's power. They'll say, we'll break you up, but you have to do this. You have to squelch free speech, hate speech, they'll call it. So we've got to be prepared for that. And we have to be prepared regardless. We will see a divided America. Now here's some good news. Trump still can win this election, and we will have a divided America. Why do I say that's good news? Is I believe that the path of patriotism is what can bring us together. The Trump administration put in plans to bring back to the schools patriotic teaching and education and so forth. We need that. That's what brings us together. A worship and love of God brings us together. Love of family brings us together. You notice on the far left, they want to tear down God, they want to tear down patriotism, and they want to tear down family. What do they want to put in its place? A nanny state. And I'm very concerned about this. We have got to address, if COVID was just one example of the nanny state, where they were even saying in California, hey, you know, at Thanksgiving, you can only have a few people over, and you have to wear your mask in between bites, and you have to clean sanitize the bathroom after anybody uses it, and you can only gather outside. Even Alec Baldwin said that's crazy, and it is. But that is part of the nanny state progressive takeover of America. And there may be future pandemics that come that we'll have to be prepared for. So we've got to worry about that. Now, those are the domestic issues. We also have foreign issues. National debt is going up, regardless, Trump or Biden, it's gone up. China is still a threat. They're planning to put a digital currency electronic payment platform in place to remove the US dollar. Now, you may not have seen this because it was election day, but China, the government, pulled the Ant IPO, the initial public offering for Ant Group. We did a show on this. You can go back and watch it, but they pulled it. Why? Because I believe it's a part of their government takeover of the Ant Group to use that technology in their DCEP platform. And that's scary. The good news, they pulled it, so Americans aren't funding it at this moment. Bad news is I believe they have intention to use it against us. We also have worries about cyber warfare. We have an upcoming show with Robert Douglas. It's going to be fantastic in going into cyber warfare and how you can protect yourself, your company, and so forth. But cyber warfare is going to be a big issue, regardless of who's president. The space race, also a big issue. We talked about that with Lieutenant General Stephen Quast. And China is right now on the dark side of the moon, and they are planning to beat us in the space race. While we've been focused on the election, they've been funding their space adventures. And then, of course, we can't forget radical Islam, which has been silent here in the United States for a while, but it is rearing its ugly head in Europe. And you'll see there have been multiple terror attacks recently in Europe from radical Islam. Again, pushed off the headlines because the media doesn't want you to hear about it, number one, and number two, because it doesn't fit the narrative. And we know who is stronger, who would be stronger. As long as President Trump was president, radical Islam seemed to have been going back into the background, but it will rear its ugly head going forward. These are all big issues. You need the economic war room because we're going to walk through every one of them and tell you how you can do something about it for your family, to protect yourself, to protect your money, your investments, but also so that you can learn what you can do to help protect our nation.